Namaste, Dr. Rajan. Namaste.
Namaste.
We'll wait for a few minutes.
Yes, no problem. I'm responding to emails which are stacked over there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Dr. Rajan is here. So
Namaste.
please go ahead and ask your questions.
Namaste, Dr. Rajan.
Namaste.
Namaste, doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know the difference between sanskaras and vasanas. Are they the same or?
Okay. Anything, they are really the same. In the Vedantic literature, the word sanskara is used in the same meaning as vasana. In other words, what you have inculcated within you by exposure, thoughts, and all of that, your inclinations that form. So that is how you would understand it. Now, in yoga, there is a distinction created between kleshas and karmas. The vasanas are nothing but a certain form of karmas that come by reacting to something, right?
Yes.
So in yoga we distinguish between kleshas and karmas because kleshas are the original program that makes you take birth, right? And whereas karmas are ones that come from reactivity and vasanas and sanskaras are a type of that.
Okay.
One of the students asked, one of the participants asked me a long time back, if are only good things come as vasanas, or even supposing I was a thief in the last birth, or the
Yeah,
or something
both
else,
come. Yeah,
both come.
both good and bad things come.
Any other questions? You have to unmute, Srilata.
But there were some network issues in between. I couldn't hear what was said. Can you please repeat that?
Sanskaras and vasanas are the same. Did you hear that?
Yeah, now I heard it.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have free will?
Do we have free will? Of course we have. See,
Then-
the thing is, what happens is, the way to understand free will is the following. Think of the all these in the space exploration. You send all these things out over there to explore Mars and things like that, right? So what happens is, when the a rocket or that satellite or whatever is behind the Mars relative to where Earth is, you have no communication with that, right?
Mm.
At that point in time, the orbiter over there has within it some webcam and various sensors to make sure that if there is some space debris, a rock or something in the way, it knows how to independently decide to get out of the way so that it won't get damaged, right? So that is the free will, right? So it decides what to do, right, as it is going along. So that is the idea of the free will, is to give you the ability to make your decision when you are not well connected. Whereas on the other hand, the other way to also look at it is that anything we do in life, there are three zones of it. One zone of it is what we call as, this is what you're supposed to do in life. That is what is called your swadharma. Then you have the other side of it is, you should never go in that direction, and that is adharma. And right in between, there is a whole lot of things that don't take you away from the trajectory of your life. Whether you do it or not doesn't matter. That is your free will too.
And why is it that things are predestined according to our karma? Why sometimes we're not able to get over that, achieve what we want to in life?
Well, the thing is basically we have to ask. You know, when people are on the acting stage over there, the director has already given them roles. They don't have a free will to do whatever they want, right? But on the other hand, when they are in the process of acting over there, they are, in the moment, you used a word that is different from there on the script, but that which conveys the same meaning, nobody is going to get bothered by it, right?
Correct.
So each one of us are born for our purpose, for our own purpose. There is, of course, uh, people thinking that you can make whatever you want, right? Now, when people have the thinking you can make whatever you want, it ends up actually taking you in a direction where it creates a lot of stress and difficulties in life for you. Actually, there is a funny joke over there. A young boy with his father, they meet someone and the father tells the boy, this is a self-made man. So the boy asks the father, then why did he choose to make himself so fat? So the thing is basically what happens is, you see, so so in other words, what happens is this idea of, you being able to do whatever you want is something that has come more out of the view that you can control the cosmic flow. And this is also the story of Ravana, as well as, if you think of Vishwamitra when he tried to send Trishanku to heaven. And it is the story everywhere you come across. And in fact, within the system of meditation and yoga practices, there are really two different schools. There is one that is based on the Yoga Sutras, and the Yoga Sutra has a one-on-one relationship with the Vedantic system. Whereas on the other hand, the other side is, and the Vedantic system is associated with most of the worship you see in the temple and all of that, there is a close relationship. However, the worship of the female form as Mahalakshmi, Devi and all of that is called the Tantra system. You see, in the tradition of Sanatan Dharma or Hindu tradition, there is a difference between the Vedic tradition and the Sanatan Dharma tradition in a very slight way. In the Vedic tradition, there is nothing called temple worship. Temple worship is outside the Vedic tradition. However, the same Vedic mantras are used in temples to also worship. Temple worship is older than the compilation of Vedas of Vyasa. And in those days, there were 33 different forms of worship patterns of various devatas. Actually, so out of the 33 forms, 28 of them are known as Shaiva Agamas. 3 of them are called Vaishnava Agamas. But the remaining 2 refer to worship of the Devi. They are not called Agamas, they are called Tantras. They are called Tantras, and this is especially true in Kerala and in Bengal, Assam, where when they do that form of worship, what you have seen through the Yoga Sutra, Purusha and Prakriti. So the Devi worship is worship of Prakriti. So through Prakriti, you're trying to control Prakriti. So that is where you hear about this thing about black magic, throwing spell on others and trying to do whatever you want. And people who come in the Tantra tradition will often do those kinds of things. Like, for example, there are two schools of yoga. I won't mention the names, very prominent. And, I don't want anybody to feel offended. There are two schools of yoga that are very prominent these days, which are Tantra based. And so they will basically tell people, you can do whatever you want. Use these yantras, tantras, and all of those things, and you can achieve various things. Okay? And one of the schools, this person, he actually sells people a book. It is simply a notebook, but it has been, with a nice velvet cover and a gold embossing on it. And then he will tell them, every night before you go to sleep, write whatever you wish for. Whether you want the biggest home, whatever, all material things, immaterial things, you put everything in there. Then what happens is, after you have written everything you can think of over a few nights, every night before you go to sleep, read them and affirm to yourself you have them. And over a period of time, you will get them. That's what he says, right? So the thing is, you see, this is the kind of the orientation that comes from the thinking you can control Prakriti. Of course you can. When, if you are able to connect into Prakriti, and by the sheer willpower you can connect it. But then you are forgetting. What is happening is, there is a director already directing the play, and you become an impediment over there. You are going to trying to change the script of the play. Then what happens? Then the true director comes, and then somebody else is sent over there, what they call as the Avatara Purusha, to go and take care of it, right? So, so that is why each one of us are cast in our own roles, and there is no accident in life where you have been born. You are born according to the what your soul is prepared for from previous lifetimes and whatever karma kleshas are remaining for you. So typically the environment in which you are born is really built there so that whatever your programs, your karma kleshas are remaining, it will be suited for that role over there, and it will help you to move forward. See, the thing is, if you, I don't know how much exposure you have to various kinds of people around. Okay? You'll meet a certain kind of people who every time they interact with you, they're always talking about, how much, where to invest, how much money to be made, and those kind of things. And people who are always hyper dynamic, energetic, and when in the evening it comes, they want to meet you in a bar over a drink of alcoholic beverages, right? So these are the kind of people who are very much engrossed in doing things, getting more and more and more. And then there is the other kind of people whom you have seen. These people are not even thinking. Whatever you tell them, they follow. And they just live a life where whatever comes, they don't plan their life. If there is food there, their money there, they are taken care. But otherwise, they are very, unthinking in the way they lead their life. And then you see another kind of people who are always thinking, we have to do good for society. And so they are running around, organizing, talking to people, going and talking to politicians, and them running for political offices and things like that, because they feel they want to do good for people. And then there are the other kind of people who are sitting and contemplating what is life about, and they are doing their own little meditative activities, whether in a religious way or a non-religious way. And they're doing the introspection, and then asking questions like many of you over here, right? So each person is in their own zone, and according to the way in which the programs have been from previous lifetime, it brings them to that kind of families. You see, what happens is, if I look back at my own family, in our family, none of us, my parents were not a kind of a person where every week they would go to the temple or anything like that. The temple would be something that will be in a once in a while occasion. Whether for a Shivratri you went to do Abhishekam for the Linga or whatever, this thing, that kind of a rare occasion. Whereas on the other hand, my father would do every Amavasya, he would do Tarpana. And, the Shraddha for his parents and all of that, he will do it regularly every year, and the right Tithi and all of that. So these kind of observances were always maintained at home. And during specific, like actually today is supposed to be Saraswati Puja, right? So the thing is basically, in our home, when Saraswati Puja is there, every year we would observe that. And similarly, in the case of Krishna Janmashtami, whatever they do and the little things that they do, it is observed. So all of this is done within the home, not like you have to go to the temple to do things, but everything. And of course, every day in the morning, when people get up, of course, after a few hours, you have your shower, bath and all of that and come out. First thing you do is you put some vibhuti in your forehead and light the lamp, and you do your namaskara, whatever, and then you move along, go to work wherever. Come back in the evening, again you take a shower and do the same thing. This is the way they led their life. And in the way in which they led their life, they're constantly reminding that life is something beyond this physical body. Who are they doing the prostration to every day in the morning and evening? What is the meaning of lighting their lamp, right? Whereas on the other hand, if you'll find other people who probably never do that, right? And so in the families, you see, evening time, when they come back, it is not lighting the lamp over there. They are greeted with a bottle and a glass, right? So the thing is, you see, what happens is, this is the kind of thing based upon your vasanas, your klesha karmas. Each of us are placed in a place where you have the exposure to the kind of things that your soul is ready for.
So the chitta chooses the mother, right? Is that true?
Chitta what?
The chitta, when it's ready to be born, it chooses the mother. How does, or is it predestined according to the karma?
Actually, the way the Yoga Sutra describes is, Prakriti allocates each soul entity with the soul entity is, there are three elements in the soul entity. Okay? The one element is the unique ID that is identifies you from one lifetime to another. Attached to the unique ID is a processor. And what is a processor? It takes input and throws out output. And then attached to the processor is all the programs that the processor is going to process and run, right? Programs and processor are together, you call it as in the Yoga Sutra language, both of them together constitute the chitta. In the Sankhya language, the chitta and the program are separated. Okay? So the thing is basically, when does the program activate and how does it run? The program activates whenever it gets input. And input are all the experiences of the world through your sense organs you're absorbing. And the output are your actions and thoughts, how you respond to them, right? But all of that is governed by your chitta that includes the programs within you which makes you respond. the 5 karma kleshas that you see, right? So this is the process whereby it happens. So the question you asked was, remind me again.
It's the chitta chooses the mother.
Yeah. So what happens is there is a cosmic flow that is determined by Prakriti. Actually, it is actually determined by Ishvara, but Prakriti is the one who is managing it. And as the Yoga Sutra says, the Prakriti has no intention of its own. It only applies the principle, the intent of Ishvara in order for the cosmic flow to happen, right? So in the cosmic flow, each one of these are entities. And according to the needs and or need of each time in the flow, whichever entity that is there sitting that has not yet taken a body but is waiting to take the next body, it is Prakriti that allocates. It's not really you choosing, but Prakriti, by its rule of what is needed for the cosmic flow, chooses for you your parents and sends you there. See, the description in the Yoga Sutra is that of a paddy field. So what Prakriti does is, it's like a farmer who, in order for to grow the paddy, they need to fill up the paddy field with a little embankment and with water inside it, right? For it to germinate and grow. So what the Yoga Sutra says is, just like a farmer breaks the mud embankment for the water to flow in, and once it has flowed in, closes the embankment. Similarly, Prakriti, according to the time and place and the needs of the time, a suitable soul that is ready is put into place over there in order to fulfill that role. And Prakriti has no intention of its own. So Prakriti is rule-based, but its focus is on ensuring the cosmic flow, what is called the Rita, as intended by Ishvara, is maintained and accordingly allocates it. So it's not like you choosing, but it's an allocation. In fact, what has happened is, it is because of the Tantra system as well as the Buddhist system, people always think that you're choosing your parents and things like that. It is not your choice. It is the choice of Prakriti's flow. There is a very big distinction between what you would call people who work only at the Prakriti level and people who look at creation from the Ishvara level included. In the Ishvara level included, you understand we are all part of a process where each one of us is allocated and the rules of the game are already in there. We have to only accept it. Whereas on the other hand, people who work only from the Prakriti process somehow think you can control things. So this is the big difference between the Yoga Vedanta system and what you would call as the Buddhist and the Tantra system. In fact, in the evolution of all the yogic practices and literature, the later elements that have come, particularly in the zone of Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Gheranda Samhita, Shiva Samhita, Goraksha Shataka and all these documents. These documents have come in the last 1,000 years or so, during the time of Shankaracharya or after. And whereas on the other hand, the Yoga Sutra goes back to the same age. In fact, before Vyasa compiled the Vedas and wrote the Brahma Sutras. So Yoga Sutras are older than the Brahma Sutras of Vyasa. Okay? So what happens is, and that's why Vyasa wrote a commentary on the Yoga Sutras. So what has happened is, the influence of Jainism and Buddhism and the Tantra system where worship of Prakriti, that element has created an orientation within the Hatha Yoga system where the focus became on the physical, elements, purification, the physical, getting control. And people who come from the Hatha Yoga system, very often they meditate with intention focused in the Agnya Chakra. And when it is done with focused in the intention of the Agnya Chakra, well, to some degree it is useful if the intention is to elevate yourself beyond the physical world into understanding Ishvara. But on the other hand, when it becomes a place where you want to seek control through that, then you lose sight of the higher understanding of Ishvara and what your place is, right? So this is the distinction. Why it is in the sequence of the flow, this Hatha Yoga and this control and all of that came about at a later time. And they don't, and that is why when you go back to the Yoga Sutras, you can take yoga exercise from these Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Gyananda Samhita and all of that. But on the other hand, to understand yoga, you have to go back to Yoga Sutra.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So where are you located, Srilata?
In Chennai, India.
Very nice.
Oh, going back to Srilata's question on free will. So when we say free will, it is one is in the Abhinivesha, correct, Dr. Rajan? Fully in that role of Abhinivesha.
Yes, actually what it is, yes, Abhinivesha means me the doer. Yeah. So, see, the thing is, you see, the Abhinivesha is a klesha. So in other words, when you think in terms of me the doer, and you're applying the free will as me the doer, that application of the free will is not appropriate. A better way to understand the appropriate use of free will is, well, you have to cross the road over there. And you're not just going to say, okay, I'm going to cross and God will take care of me. No, you look to the left and right and make sure the traffic is clear before you cross the road, right? So that is the kind of free will that is the appropriate in yogic application of free will.
Now it's clear, because I used to wonder, when we don't have free will, how are we accumulating karma? So that is one doubt I had. Thank you.
See, karma is accumulated only when we react. And this is where in the Yoga Sutras, it makes a high degree of clarity of being an observer without reacting. See, being an observer without reacting is the following. Like, for example, you're having your morning cup of coffee. You're really enjoying your cup of coffee, and as you're having it, you feel just, oh, the coffee is nice. It makes you feel good. You're just observing. The moment you start reacting, oh, this coffee is so good. What coffee is this? Where did it come from? I would like to order more of it, or let me get another cup. All those brings the reactivity, right? So when you're simply an observer over there, that is called asmita. So, and as the Yoga Sutra explains, that it is the asmita in you that allows you to imbibe cosmic wisdom. If there is no asmita, you cannot imbibe any cosmic wisdom either, right? Give me one moment. My nose is blocked. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm back. Actually, I caught a severe cold
Hmm.
yesterday, and the whole day nose was blocked. But there is a way to get over it. And it was in the mid morning I did it, and everything cleared up. So today I need to do it again. If you ever catch a cold and you find yourself blocked or anything, all you do is put your feet in hot water, and you have to keep it there for 20 minutes. And during that time, keep your head covered and your shoulder all covered, keep it warm, and keep the feet in water for 20 minutes. And every 5 minutes, you'll need to add more hot water in it. Otherwise, it'll
Cold.
slowly become cooler, right? If from hot, it'll become warm. You keep it like that for 20 minutes. And after that, you put some nalane, that's, this sesame oil in the feet, and right at the bottom of the feet. And you wear 3 pairs of socks. The 3 pairs of socks really makes it very warm. And you will find every system, the nose, everything completely clears out. So today I haven't done it now. Here it's very early. So I just woke up about an hour back.
We'll try this next time.
Yeah, anytime. This is a quick cold remedy.
And I'm having a cold now. I don't know if I should be asking because this is recorded, but anyway, I'm not going very deep into the question. I just want to understand one thing. This Vedas and the sutras teach us acceptance. So what happens when we are accepting everything, every atrocities that is happening around us? We are being subjected to a lot of torture and cruelty.
This is a very interesting question you raise. And we actually have a standing example of what we have in the current times. So without being personal about it, being impersonal, we can do that. There's another question over here that came. That question was something related to camphor. What was that? I'll answer that. And if we
Inhale
inhale
camphor.
camphor, also we can get relief from cold. That is right. Yes. Okay. So the coming back, the yes, the Israel situation right now is an example of how things happen, right? In what way is it an example? Okay. Give me one moment. Okay. So the I don't know how many of you know that there was no country called Israel before 1945, right? And if you want to know how it is all of this happened, it goes back to the Roman Empire, and that goes back to well over 1,000 years and earlier, right? So the Romans had only one interest. Their interest was to collect money from all the places that they have conquered and take it back to Rome. And so the Romans had occupied that area of Judea, which is where the Jewish people had their one temple, the Temple of Solomon, right? And that temple is where, and it was controlled by two families, two clans. They used to control the temple. And it was a very commercial business over there in the temple, and after a while, when people get too much involved in the business of the temple, spirituality also gets lost. And that was the time when Jesus Christ came about, and he didn't have any need for a temple to share his spirituality and all of that, and that was what he was preaching outside. And all these people who control the temple, their donations were being affected because people were all flocking to Jesus Christ rather than coming to the temple. And so what happened is, they were the people who went and complained to the Roman. Actually, it is very interesting. The word used for the Pontius Pilate, the Roman administrator, is called the procurator. And this man, his whole job was to procure all the taxes and send it back to Rome. They had only one interest. They don't care what religion you follow or not. The same like British colonialism, loot the country, take it back home. They don't care what you do. But of course, the British also tried to convert people in India and failed. But anyway, so that was his only interest. And the procurator's only interest is keep peace, keep the economic activity going, and give your taxes. We don't care about anything else. So because these people were creating so much of problem, just to appease them, that is why he allowed Jesus Christ to be crucified, right? But on the other hand, what happened was, another 30 years later, 35 years later, after Jesus was crucified, I think it is 78 CE or 72 CE, one of the dates, the Romans found that it was very difficult to govern all of these people, and the temple had become a source of a big aggravation to administer the place. So what they did was, the Temple of Solomon, the Romans actually broke it down to the level of the floor. They completely broke the temple. And they decided that the only way to govern the Jewish people is there shouldn't be too many people of them around the same place. So they forcibly moved them to other parts of the Roman Empire. And that is how the Jewish diaspora came. And what happened was, after this was all taken place, the people who are immigrants who go to a new place, they are more entrepreneurial. They observe differences. They find opportunities. They think more, and they do much better than people who are in their own generations. For generations, they are in the same place. They don't think beyond. So the Jewish people were very good in commerce. They did very well all over the place. And come in the early 20th century, in the commercial capitals of various countries, these were the people who were bankers and things like that, very well-to-do people in Germany and so many other places. And what happened is, the Western culture, and it goes even into the English world, is they were all jealous of the achievement of these Jewish people who had come. And of course, when a person is a ruthless businessman and things like that, that is how even Shakespeare wrote about the Merchant of Venice, bringing the Jewish people in a kind of a negative light. And the same thing goes on to this, when you think in terms of how Hitler corralled all of them, oh, these are all bad people, you have to kill them in the gas chamber and all of that, you know the rest. So what happened was, in reaction to this, there was the Zionist movement, where people, the Jewish people who were all over the world, they felt, we need to have our own homeland, otherwise we won't be safe, right? So in the period of 1945 at that time, and even going earlier, the British colonial era, British were the people who were the administrators of the land of Palestine. And so what happened was, as the World War was coming towards, the end, and of course, a lot of Jewish people from Germany and other places had migrated to the United States, and being very bright people, bright industrious people, they had done very well, and they also understood the political system. So they became significant influencers of the political system in the United States. So it was the United States that gave, in those days in Palestine, the population is supposed to have been 6% Jewish, and then you had about 18% or so, or 19% of Christians, and the remaining were all Muslims. And how did the Muslims and all of that come? Well, that all started, you can understand, from Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad had a very noble objective of unification of people. Instead of people fighting over religion, let's all unify as one people. But his approach to doing it was not so noble. The approach was war. Fight. Accept Allah as the God, otherwise we kill you. Okay? So the thing is, basically, the war and violence became the seed from which all of this came. Right? Now what happens is, there is a saying that the end does not justify the means. Very often people say end justifies the mean. You have some noble objective, so by hook or by crook, you go to achieve the noble objective, right? Now, what happens is, if we have the understanding of the cosmic flow and God's flow, then we will understand whatever needs to be done. We are only an instrument. We don't have to bring ourselves in the way and go through hook or by crook. If it's meant to happen, the doors will all open, and you simply serve as an instrument of the cosmic flow to make it happen, right? So in doing this, what happened is, Prophet Muhammad took it upon himself to unify everyone through war and hook or by crook, whatever. And one of the things that came along with that was this, he realized that in Jerusalem, and when we talk of Prophet Muhammad, we are going back a few hundred years, even before 1945, right? Like half a millennium before that. So at that time, the way it is said is that Prophet Muhammad rode on a horse to Jerusalem, and of course Prophet Muhammad knew very well about Judaism and the Jewish people. In fact, what had happened was, he had a soft corner for them, because they had given him refuge when he was fighting, when he had to run away from Mecca to Medina. The Jewish people had helped him and things like that. So the part is, he wrote down, and whether it is true or not doesn't matter, but he basically created the story of this. He ascended to the seventh heaven and came back at the spot of the where the Solomon temple was there that was destroyed, and they created the Al-Aqsa Mosque, right? So the thing is, you see, this was his way of trying to bring everything in that unity. So all of the world must become Muslim. That was his thinking, by hook or by crook. Whether this thing. And so what happened is that is what led to also the Muslim fighting and expansion, which went all the way to Spain, and most of Europe was a Muslim, and then the Christian crusaders fought back, and they were all sent again eastward. So I don't know how many of you know that Spain used to be a Muslim country during the expansion, and there was a second caliph in that area of Seville in Spain, and they still have the Alhambra Palace over there. Very beautiful, Islamic architecture. This thing. Anyway, so the thing is, they were driven back. So again and again, this gives you an understanding why it is in Sanatan Dharma Hinduism, we bring everything together, just like Vyasa brought 33 religions together as one, accepting the individuality of each one and yet finding the common thread of Vedanta in every one of them. That is why temple worship in South India can look different. Actually, I shouldn't say South India alone. Specific to Tamil Nadu can look very different from what is done in Kashmir, what is done in Bengal, what is done in Kerala, what is done in Maharashtra. But yet the commonality of it and how he wove the story of all these Devis and Devatas in the 18 Mahapuranas and 18 Upapuranas. So he brought everything together. Effectively, what you see in Hinduism is the concept of unity in diversity. But Prophet Muhammad could not see that. He only saw unity in everything. Everything has to become one. There cannot be diversity. So it is in this process that the violence and all of them became the seed of the creation of all of that. So now what happened is, in 1945, with the American influence, the Americans were the people who created Israel. They basically gave all the advanced weapons America had to the 6% of the Jewish people. And in fact, what happened was, historically it is recorded that one of the prime ministers of Israel, whom the name you have heard, earlier prime ministers, Menachem Begin, right? He was actually considered a terrorist by the British administrators. In fact, he, along with many of these people taking the American weapons, they actually slaughtered like half a dozen villages of Arabs, of Muslim people. And they sent the message, clear out the land and move forward, otherwise we are coming to other villages to take over. This is how Israel was formed. So what happens is, anytime there is the seed of it, the seed is based upon me as the doer. And when the seed is already corrupted, that corruption of the seed will always show its head in the future. This is the nature of the flow of karma. So what it is it goes back that far. So whether you look at it from the perspective of, the time when the Romans destroyed the temple, the diaspora movement wanting their own land, and then the Islamic conquering of land and coming through, and this thing. So in reaction to that coming through, so this fight will never end. But there is a way in which to end it. The only way to end it is mutual respect. And what happens is, people need to forget the past. Yes, Israel has taken away a lot of land from Arabs and things like that. And in general, of course, many of you probably know that if you have been squatting in a place for a very long time, that is 90% of ownership. So the thing is, basically what happens is, there needs to be a place where, as they say, you need a two-state solution. In fact, what I think of it is, they need to have what I call is a United States of Eastern Mediterranean. So where all the states, whether it is Israel, the Palestine, they all come together. They mutually accept everything. The defense and foreign policy should all be one unit, and their police forces. Whereas, with respect to all other economic activity, they can be individual states. If they have the heart to accept each other as one people respecting each other and each having their own, just like we have many states, each work as a state under one union, then in which case it is possible. But then anytime the seed is corrupted, that hate, violence, me as the doer, everything will come. So what happens is, from our perspective, when we look at all these violence and everything, we say, that is the flow of karma, that is the flow of rita. And in fact, what it is the beauty of it is sometimes we have to think. There was a movie or something, the gods must be crazy or something. That is, the nature of violence, only there, if there is one side, there is another side, right? The nature of violence, yes, one and the other just continues. So in the first place, why should one thing have happened? Why should, and this is where I think when people take into their mind the sense of doership and do something wrong, lot of karmas are built in, and that karmas just feed on each other, and it can even be group karmas. That is where these kind of things just keep going on, and we have to accept it. This is the flow of how things are going, and not worry about it. If you have a duty towards it, if you are supposed to be the mediator to bring everyone together, there'll be a way whereby you'll be brought in over there.
So, but does it mean we have to accept violence also?
It means we shouldn't be affected by it. When we see it, if we have a role to calm it down and to prevent the violence, we'll be put into that place, and our internal guidance will help us. But we have to understand we are only an instrument of God's flow to take care of that. But it is not like we are doing it.
You have to go back to Sutra 133, Srilata.
Yes,
Maitri
because
Mudita, moderation.
I keep thinking, maybe because of a laid back attitude, our Vedas are teaching us that we've been subjected to so much of torture and cruelty by all the invaders. If we didn't have the tolerance in us, we also would have fought back. Maybe sometimes, I just think like that.
Actually, what it is, it was not the element related to the Vedas that brought it on. Okay? The key thing that brought it on was the influence of Buddhism. Okay? See, what happens is, in the Yoga Sutras, the idea of this ahimsa is not, there is no violence, there is only dharmic violence. And that is the demonstrated in the Mahabharata, right? That is, when there is a rightful thing where you have to defend, you have to this thing, you have to do it. Whereas what it is the influence of Buddhism and Ashoka. King Ashoka was the one who actually diminished India's, what you would call the ability to defend itself. He is the one who did the damage to the Vedic understanding and the, Vedantic. It is not coming from Sanatana Dharma. It came from there.
He turned Buddhist, didn't he?
He turned a
Ashoka.
Buddhist. Absolutely.
He fought one war and he saw all the loss of life, and then he turned Buddhist.
Yes.
It's like saying all our soldiers in the border become Buddhists. What happens to India or USA for that matter?
So, but in any case, the interesting part is in the Indian flag as well as in the emblem, they keep still the Ashoka Chakra.
Probably to indicate dharmic violence. Anyway, it's almost 7 o'clock. Any other quick question? Maybe we have just a minute or so.
Sharanya
Yes.
has something.
Yes, Saranya, go ahead. You have to unmute.
Um, Hello,
Yes, hello.
how are you?
All good. State your question. You have 1 minute to go.
Okay. So I just because I got this opportunity to interact with you, I want to ask if you provide like can you provide like a personal counseling for me discuss various aspects of um,
Various aspects of life. She is going through a lot.
Okay. See, go to lifeinyoga.org and go to contact us page. And you'll find the name of Avni over there, Avni Praswala. She coordinates all my time and she will schedule time for you. Tell her what you want and she will schedule time.
Okay, sure. I'll do that.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
It's all 7 o'clock. Thank you, Dr. Rajan. Thanks for your time.
Thank you,
No more
Dr. Rajan.
questions?
Namaste.
Any other question?
So very nice. So Srilata, we had a very engaging time thanks to you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Rajan sir and Subramaniam sir. Namaste.
Namaste.
Right. Everyone has to sign off so that I can sign off too.